Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with something a bit more unusual for me, I'd say. I know you guys know I like my petrol cars, the V8s, the V6s, the roaring of a natural aspirated engine, but today we got something a little bit more subtle, but no less aggressive. It's the prancing pony, it's the horse, it's the fabled Shelby Mustang. Not as you knew it though, however, it's the Ford Mach-E all-electric car. Right, so at first I wasn't entirely sure about Ford putting the fabled prancing horse on the front of an all-electric vehicle, because after all, what is a Mustang? It's raw, it's powerful, it's very loud. It's the fabled unicorn from Gone in 60 Seconds. It's all about aggression, it's all about speed, it's all about handling, but it's all about almost being ostentatious, aggressively ostentatious, and this is kind of the opposite. So I was a bit nervous and wondered kind of why would they put the Mustang on an all-electric car? Well, having driven the car and spent some time with the Mach-E, I think they've done the right thing. Right, so one of the key features of any electric vehicle is its central touchscreen cluster, and the Ford Mach-E really delivers on this. I love the way they've done it. They have this beautiful sort of sculpted rotator, which is actually the volume or control, depending on what you're doing. It has a very strategically placed hole in the middle where is the on and off switch for the music and other features as well. But it's actually a 15.5-inch screen, which is absolutely massive, and it takes over the whole section in the middle of the car, which means that you don't really have space for anything else, but you don't need anything else because it does everything. One of the key features obviously is the driving mode, because that's one thing you do a lot in the car is drive. So I've kept it up mainly on Whisper because it's the most economical, most electric-like, and I wanted to kind of get a feel of what electric driving is like. But it has actually got the active mode, which is a bit more fun and engaging. You see the way that the kind of screen, the cluster changes color to symbolize exactly what the mode you're going into. And which is why I really like the Untamed one, which is what I'm looking forward to testing later, as this one's just for raw and bridled, getting the full amount out of the benefits of an electric car. This is the all-wheel drive model, so it has electric engine in all four wheels, which means it gives you a lot of power, but it also gives you a lot of torque. So you can get to 0 to 60 in about 5.1 seconds, which is pretty quick. And even in normal mode, they say that you get torque within 0.5 seconds of pushing the pedal down, which is outrageous. And you notice that. You have to be almost a bit mindful sometimes of how you drive in order to make sure you don't go too quick. It's quite almost hard to go slow, let's put it that way. And there's a feature which I absolutely love, which is a bit different. You have to get used to it, called the one pedal drive. I will get into that more when we get on the road. But yeah, I really like that feature. I think it's something that a lot of people, it's going to change the way you drive, full stop. And I said more on that later. Now, as I was saying outside the car, I'm gonna be honest, I was skeptical about it because they put the prancing pony, the horse, a symbol of raw power and aggressive driving on an electric car. And not only that, it's Ford's first ever electric car. So I can understand why they did it from a branding perspective, but my problem B was, would it live up to the hype? And I was worried for the Mustang brand, but I needn't have been, because I must say, this car has been, in my mind so far, an absolute overwhelming success. It does everything that the traditional Mustang does. Hear me out. Maybe not quite the volume, not as a Shelby 5-litre, of course not, no. But it turns heads. Everywhere I've gone on this car, everywhere I go, everywhere I drive, people are stopping to look. You can see people saying, what is that? That looks incredible. I've had even people liken its design to the vastly more expensive and extravagant Lamborghini Urus. I mean, that says a lot about the styling of this vehicle. Having the black Mustang on the front and at the back is very subtle, especially on this blacked out version that I'm driving at the moment, as it kind of blends into the fascia and makes it less obvious what car it is. People want to know what this car is. As it comes to the drive is sharp, 0.5 seconds, you put your foot down, you get instant torque. The power delivery is instantaneous. The pricing starts at £40,000 for the rear wheel drive, which gives you a 371-mile distance. But the model I'm driving now is the all-wheel drive. So it's a four-wheel drive, separate motors for all four wheels. And that has a range of 330 miles, but it also has a very powerful acceleration of 5.1 seconds and 0 to 60, which is very, very ample and very powerful for any car, let alone an electric car. This model is a pretty high spec one. So the all-wheel drive starts at about £46,000. This one, it comes in around about £57,000 because it has a lot of extra features, which I love, by the way. One of which I always go on about the sound system, but in this particular model, it has the Bang & Olufsen system, which tells you the kind of styling and kind of premium quality they're going for. And the sound system's incredible. What I will say though, and this isn't a dig at Ford by any means, because all the electric car brands seem to do it, I am a fan of buttons. When you're driving fast, when you're driving quickly, you know, you can mispress a button and still get it to do what you want. When it's a touchscreen display, if you're not very precise with where you're putting your finger, you can miss it and you can get it not doing what you say. So one of the features I really like, which I think is really intuitive and actually revolutionizes the way you drive, is the one pedal drive system, they call it. So what this means is essentially, especially when you're in cities, you accelerate with one pedal, and when you release the pedal, the accelerator pedal, the car instantly brakes for you. So the car will start to slow down. And what that does is it helps to reharvest some of the electricity to help you conserve and maximize the amount of energy you're using. Now, it's a very strange thing, you know, but one thing I'll say about the one pedal drive though is you have to change the way you drive, in that because the car slowly comes to a standstill, you have to re-gauge how much you want to take your foot off the pedal in order to get the car to stop in places that you want it to stop, which is a new sensation. It also has this thing is on a normal car, when I say normal car, petrol car, sorry, when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car will continue to move at a certain speed. And so you're able to sort of almost have, give your accelerator foot, a brake, dare I say it? I don't mean it in that respect, but you kind of get what I mean. On this car, because the moment you take your foot off the accelerator, the car slows down, you're literally either going faster or slowing down. So it is actually quite tricky to keep the car at a certain speed with one pedal, but it is something you do get used to after time. Right, so I'm going to change it into what they call untamed mode. See, this is interesting. There's actually a bit of noise as well, so they almost simulate a bit of engine noise. There's a little bit of a roar. It has also this sort of like propulsion sound as well. So it does give you that feeling that you're driving something it could be a petrol car. In terms of the speed though, it is fast. You feel that instant delivery like you do on all electric cars. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's Mustang. It's Mustang. I can't say much more than that. It is Mustang. Not as loud, not as throaty, but it is a Mustang. I cannot argue with that. Right guys, well this is something a little bit unusual. I say a little bit unusual, it's completely unusual. Basically Ford, after doing some research and finding that 61% of drivers would miss the smell of petrol actually when they convert to electric. So in order to sort of ease that pain, they sort of worked with this company called Olfiction, who are a bespoke fragrance house and create fragrances for some of the most renowned companies around the world. They've actually created a fragrance for the interior of your car called, well, quite charmingly, Ford Mach-O. So instead of eau de toilette, it's called Mach-O, not Mach-E. Haha, cheeky, play on words. This isn't a fragrance that's available to buy, but I actually am privileged enough to have a little sample here. And what it does essentially is it smells a bit of like woody, smoky, oil-like, but it has a slight hint of petrol, which the idea is you can still fragrance the interior of your car and get that sort of petrol-like smell so that you don't miss it when you're driving your brand new Ford Mach-E, or in fact, this was designed for, the new upcoming, the Mach-E GT. Crazy, right? My summary on this car is that I am pleasantly surprised, and I mean pleasantly. I mean, was not overly excited. I'll be real with you, I'm not an electric car guy. I've got nothing against electric cars per se, but I like petrol cars. I just enjoy them, and there's something about changing gear and feeling that sort of push in your back as you accelerate forward. This is more a constant acceleration, a different kind of power delivery, but it's becoming a more and more familiar power delivery as I drive more and more electric cars. And having said that, of the ones I've driven, this is probably one I've enjoyed the most. I mean, I have to say that I knew it when they put the Mustang badge on here. It was almost like the Ford was saying, look, we can't mess this up. This has to deliver in every aspect. And thankfully, it does. I think I'm trying to think of something I don't like, and I'm really struggling to find one. Anything, actually. In fact, they even have clever things which I've not seen before, such as on the B pillar outside, they have a code. So if you haven't got your key, you can have a special code where you can enter it in, and it will actually give you access to the car, and then you can then use the same code to lock the car afterwards. So even little intuitive things like that, should you not have your key on you. It has a massive boot, front and back, but the good thing about the front compartment is that it's a wet box. So basically you can put muddy boots, anything in there, but you can also wash it clean if you need to. So it gives it that sort of dual functionality. It is a proper functional car, but it's a fun car. And it's a surprisingly very good looking car. I mean, I must admit, then again, it's one of those you have to see in the flesh, because I had no idea it was going to be quite as eye-catching when it came. And also, like I said, everywhere I go, people looking at it, people want to double take, wow, that's nice, check that car out, tapping their friends, and it's a head turner, and one that has surprised me. So the Mustang name, the Mustang brand, it might not live on in the petrol horsepower sense, but I think it's found a safe home here in the electric world. So a big thumbs up from me.